The benefit of having ground cover is not only to not be putting tons of mulch on your beds, but also they do suppress a lot of the weeds. Hello everyone! Today we are going to be planting this beautiful black scallop ajuga. This is a ground cover that is a hardy from zones 4 to 9. It grows about 4 to 6 inches tall and 12 to 18 inches wide, and it makes beautiful purple blooms in the early summer. So this is going to be perfect for this area because I struggle so much with weeds in this area, and I'm trying to minimize the amount of mulch that I would have to put on my flower beds because they take a lot of mulch, and the more ground cover you have, the less mulch you need to put. And again, this is a hardy perennial, and it's going to provide us with this beautiful purple color, and it's also going to provide us with the blooms. I'm hoping that this will kind of play out well with this flower bed over here. Today we are also going to be clearing out some of the perennials in here. We are going to be cutting them back, cleaning them up, and then we are hopefully, if I have the time, going to put some just wood chips in here. That's the mulch I'm going to be using from now on. I'm going to be using wood chips because they're free, and mulch is just expensive. I usually try to buy it on sale during the spring season. It's usually half off, but even with that, there's a lot of beds over here. We have a lot of flower beds. It's a lot of area to cover, and that is just going to cost a lot no matter how much I try to save on that. So by using wood chips that are free, it's going to be a lot more economical. And that's something you can do as well. And wood chips are great for the ground because they are going to break down and provide some create some nutrient rich soil, especially if you provide that nitrogen for them. Now these wood chips that I have been sitting there since last fall, so that's an entire year basically, and that's just going to make them even better because they are already starting to break down, so they're not going to steal as much nitrogen from the soil. And I will be amending the soil anyways. I might put some manure in here or something like that in the spring. That will also help them in breaking down faster and providing more nutrients for the soil. So let's go ahead, start on clearing up this bed and finding a place for the ajuga. I also wanted to share a little bit of my heartache with you over here. As soon as the sweet potato vine was looking lush and beautiful, the deer came and ate it all. There are still a bit of foliage left, and anyways, the frost is going to be taking this out. Once the frost takes it out, then I will be able to harvest the sweet potatoes. And this is, I mentioned before in other videos, this is an edible sweet potato vine, so it's actually growing sweet potatoes in the ground. But unfortunately you won't be able to see it at its full prime today because the deer are just cruel. This is like a breath of fresh air. Finally, this area is sort of clean. Now, the lilies of the valley will come back over here next year. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take all these irises over here and I'm going to clump them up together in this area over here. I think having a clump of irises will look very nice in this area, especially if it kind of hugs the rock a little bit. There is already a lily in there, an oriental lily. I think it's a stargazer lily, I'm not sure. And I'm leaving the lily over there. I have plans for that for next year. But I think they will look pretty if I clump them up over here because if you remember, we already cut them up, or cut them back, not cut them up. The Siberian irises are also in here. There are 3 clumps between the phlox, and I did not cut the phlox back because it's still blooming even though it looks hideous. But I just want to enjoy whatever they are able to provide this year, even if they look like this. I'm going to tolerate them. Otherwise the bed will look really bare because there are no evergreen structures with exception to this boxwood over here. Now, right now it doesn't look like much, but my plan is to make it kind of a mounded shape, like a sort of a golf ball shape, and I have to cut it this way. I have to cut it hard, and so that it will kind of bush out, and hopefully in the next couple years I'll be able to shape it into the sphere that I want it to look like. So now I'm going to get my shovel and start transplanting these irises. So the irises are all divided. I'm not going to go into detail about how I did that. I did a whole video about how you can do that, and I'll link it in the description box below if you are planning on dividing your irises. You can see they created this beautiful drift. Let me back up a little bit so that you guys can see how it kind of looks like right now with the rest of the bed over here. So I think they will look very beautiful next season. They already look beautiful, and they are leaning a little bit right now, but next season they will straighten all up and they'll look normal. And I have a whole plan that I'm going to be implementing for this area next season, and you'll have to stay tuned to find out what's going to be happening in this area over here. Actually, this whole bed is going to be rehauled. I'm going to be adding to it and doing a lot of changes. So right now, let's go to the ajuga, and let me show you something over here. So if you look at this over here, you'll think this is one plant, and you'll think that you're just going to plant this as it is. But if you look down over here, this pot is full of plants. Full. So I'm going to be dividing all these plants, and we are going to be placing them in this bed over here. And I'm thinking I may place them on this side over here, and then I'll have a different ground cover in this area. So this way, like, we'll have different color that's going in the bed. And if the ajuga ends up spreading this way, that's totally fine. I think if I have enough plants, I'm going to sort of have it maybe go this way, kind of up to here, and go around the plants and all, and let it do its thing and spread in this bed, because its job is to suppress the weeds. The benefit of having ground cover is not only to not be putting tons of mulch on your beds, but also they do suppress a lot of the weeds. Now, sometimes weeds do sprout in between them. There are some weeds that are pretty nasty that I'm struggling with, but those can be taken care of by digging up the plants and then taking the roots out and replanting them, and that works fine. I had to do that with one of the phlox in one of my flower beds. I had to dig it up. There was a bittersweet vine growing in there, and I didn't see it until now. As I was cleaning up that bed today, and I dug the whole plant up, took out the roots, and replanted the plant. And since the weather is nice right now, the plant is not going to struggle. The soil is super moist. It was raining the whole day and night yesterday and this morning, so the soil is soaked. I don't have to water anything. I'm just going to be planting and leaving everything as it is. I did water one of the boxwoods that I planted today, but that's because I wanted to make sure there are no air gaps in around the roots of the boxwood, because I don't want it to die, and that's the only reason why I watered that one. But with these little plants, they have They don't have an extensive root system like the boxwood does. I don't necessarily have to water them like the irises, for example. I'm not watering those. The soil is the soil is moist. They don't need any watering. The roots are pretty thick and wiry, and they settle pretty well in there. So let's go ahead and divide the ajuga and place it in here and get it in the ground. Look at that root system. Pretty good over here. So I got 16 divisions. I'm going to take them, place them in the bed, and just speed plant. So I ended up in total with 18 ajuga plants. As I was planting, I found one more that I was able to divide, and some of them I had to kind of do a division on kind of when you dig up a plant and you divide that plant and you cut it in half, sort of. That's what I had to do on some of them. They weren't necessarily separated from each other, but if I cut them, I was able to get some with roots, and these are very resilient plants. Some people consider this plant as a weed, but I think a lot of plants that are considered weeds, if are used in the proper application, I think they will be very good and will come out beautiful. And kind of like, for example, Pachysandra is one of them. It is very aggressive and it can overtake a place, but if you want it to overtake an area, why not, right? Ferns are another thing, like native ferns. Those can be very aggressive as well, but if you want it to fill up that area, why not plant it? Because it will do its job. Now, I'm not talking about aggressive weeds that are like invasive weeds, like for example, Canadian thistle is one of them, which is very beautiful, but that thing is very, very pokey, and it is very invasive. Other things are like creeping Charlie and stuff like that. Those are super invasive plants, and they will kind of smother other plants and kill them. I'm not talking about these sorts of plants, or bittersweet vine or stuff like that. I'm talking about plants that are sort of aggressive in nature. Those are the plants that I'm talking about, and I think there is a place for those plants, and this is an example of that kind of a place where I want a ground cover to kind of fill in the area, to suppress the weeds, and to provide a beautiful foliage and also blooms in the spring. There are some ground covers that will bloom for you in the summer, some ground covers that will bloom in the spring. So you can kind of incorporate them together so that you will be able to get blooms from those ground covers throughout the season. Now, this phlox over here blooms early spring. This is probably, the ajuga is probably going to bloom around the time the phlox is going to bloom. Maybe a little bit later. Depends on how the phlox feels like. And over there, the irises are going to be blooming actually around the same time the ajuga is going to be blooming. Now, the ajuga is going to be purple, and the irises are going to be kind of a mauvish pink color, and I think that will look very beautiful together, especially with the blue of the irises and the blue foliage of the iris and the purple foliage of the ajuga. So I'm super happy with this bed. I think it looks 1,000 times better. Again, lots of changes are going to be happening over here and all around the back. So stay tuned for next season on Peaceful Living NH to see the changes that are going to be coming, or I should say gardening with Peaceful Living NH on to see the changes that are going to be coming in this bed. Yes, I think so. In this bed. There are some weeds that I still did not pull. I still have to mulch this bed, but it's getting late. I'm tired, and I think I want to go inside. I still have to clean up some stuff inside and prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday, so let me give you just a quick look at this bed one more time to kind of see how it looks like right now. If the sweet potato vines were still in flourishing, this view would look a lot nicer. And I think once I apply the mulch in this area, it's going to even look better. But I mean, look at these ajuga. They're just so darling. I love them. And I don't think I will regret it. And let me know in the comments below, do you guys like ajuga or do you hate it? What are your experiences with it? So I was actually able to go around this Veronica over here. There is you can consider it a weed growing in between it, so I'm going to be digging that up later, not today, and taking it out. It's just the wild viola, and I do like the wild violas, and I let them grow in here because they also act as a ground cover, spring bloomer. They're beautiful. They're also edible, if you didn't know. So yes, I took the ajuga. You can see there are a couple plants in here, one in there, and then just the rest kind of goes up all the way up to close to the rose. Not quite, just right behind that phlox right there, the tall phlox. So I think this looks so much better. I am very happy with the progress I did today. So much better. And once we apply the mulch, all the drip irrigation is going to be covered. I'm not going to poke any holes in it. I'm not going to put any drip in it yet, like emitters, because I kind of want to see where things are going to go. Now I suppose I could put it for the ajuga, but I am slowing down on the watering because we've been getting a lot of rain lately. So I actually turned it to 3 days a week, to where it would water 3 days a week, because the pots are also hooked up on the irrigation. I haven't showed you those pots in a long time. I cut them back and they're actually just starting to flush, like right before frost. Not impressed. And I haven't been on top of them. I haven't fertilized them in 2 weeks. I should fertilize them today. I don't think I'm gonna get to it because I still have a lot to do. Anyways, so I think next season I'll just add in the drip emitters wherever I'm going to need them. I don't necessarily have to water this bed anymore because it rains a lot, but because the pots are on the drip irrigation, is still getting some water, and I'm thinking of actually turning it into 4 days a week, and every 4 days and not every 3 days, because of all the moisture that we have been getting. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like these types of videos and you are new to this channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. This will help the channel tremendously. Also, if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button so that more people can see it on YouTube, and I will be leaving a video for you right here to watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.